This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Standard Group has the exclusive rights to bring you the EPL. Catch all the action, all the drama, every match, every goal, and all the big moments across TV, radio, and digital. So you could be a diehard fan like me, or you could be like the people who won on Sunday, some match on Sunday.
No.
Like those guys.
Winners are winners.
And decide that you want to watch all the matches. Some guys over there.
You see, the beautiful part is, in everything that happens in EPL, I mean every aspect of it, whether it is VAR, whether it is a foul that has not been called, whether it is Arsenal winning or Manchester losing, every part of that, you can only get it where?
Right here on Standard Group. Maisha, Radio Maisha and Berur FM will be having live match commentary for every match. And all of these things that are likely to happen as the EPL gets into full throttle come the 21st of August.
TV is also on board, eh?
Yes, it is, absolutely.
Yes.
So the EPL is here and the excitement starts now. So you don't have to miss a match or any call, any frustration as we get into this wonderful season
Any losses
of football. Moving along swiftly. So that's what you want to do. Follow the EPL. All the action is coming to you right here at the Standard Group. Sour. All right, that's what we're going to be doing, as well as talking about gags and other things. All right. We get into our conversation this hour, and we're going to be looking at what's going on, especially when it concerns the TSC, with quite a number of things here. And the big ticket item here was with the social media. Is it a ban? Is it a gag? Is it a policy? We're going to be looking into that. Two of our guests will be here in a short while, but one of them is already here. Chrisantose Odhiambo is a human resource management and development, and is also going to be here talking about the TSC and its new policy. Very good morning to you.
Morning to you.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
I can see that you're a fan of the EPL, so you don't have to look. And we're not going to ask you what team you are supporting unless it's not Dennis Aseto's team.
Even if you don't have a team, just support Arsenal.
Of course, it's obvious, and it would be good that you apologize where you started from. And a win is a win.
I'm going to clear my throat respectively.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Karibu sana, welcome to the Situation Room. Of course, we're going into this policy conversation this hour. It's a hot topic and you're in the hot seat. So let's get into some of these issues. We'll be joined by a teacher's representative in a short bit.
Thank you.
But before we do that, we'll get into what we normally do here in the Situation Room. We go around the African continent every week. We come back from a particular country with their proverbs. And then we give you the delightful task of interpreting those proverbs. Dennis will tell you where we are, and then we'd love to hear your interpretation.
Today we are in Mauritius, an island nation, and the population is 1.3 million people, and it is the only home to the famous dodo bird that pretty much was wiped out of the face of the earth in the 1600s because we hunted them. We never thought about preserving them for posterity. So there is a generation like me. Dodo bird, I can only see it on pictures, but no one really is able to remember how it felt, the sounds it made, because we got rid of them. It is also huge on matters tourism because it is an island nation, the white sandy beaches that many are there to enjoy. But let's go to the proverb. Water and fish are friends, but the same water supports fire to cook the fish. Water and fish are friends, but the same water supports fire to cook the fish. How would you interpret it?
There is a time for everything in life. There are instances when we have to be partners.
Yeah.
And there are instances when each of us has to take their distinctive role. And in this case, it may not be a very nice distinctive role when the water has to be the one boiling the fish. But nonetheless, that's a responsibility of water.
Wait.
Yeah. Okay.
Yani water just decides to become soup. But yes, everyone has their role in your life. And when that role comes, whichever the case, accept it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So, the Teacher Service Commission issued a strict warning via a circular, and this was on the 13th of August, cautioning teachers that professional ethical standards apply to digital spaces. So the things that you would do normally that you would be expected to carry out are also applicable on social media spaces. And they said that violating these online rules risks disciplinary and administrative action under the TSC Act. So obviously the primary audience is teachers, obviously. They talk about key prohibitions, posting images, videos, or personal details of students without proper parents or consent, or in violation of child's privacy. Okay. Online misconduct, engaging in cyberbullying, intimidation, harassment, hate speech, or ethnic incitement. Okay. Offensive content, disseminating material that compromises the dignity, integrity, and reputation of the teaching profession. All right. So probably that third one is now where the lines start to get blurred, and we're wondering what this means exactly. The applicable laws and regulations are, number one, the Constitution. Number two, statutory obligations, the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, and professional codes, the Code of Conduct and Ethics for teachers, and the Code of Regulations for teachers. So the unions react, of course, to this. And we'll look into that a little bit. So let's start from the beginning. What would be the premise upon which this circular, in terms of a reminder then, was built on?
Thank you, Ndu and Dennis. The Teacher Service Commission, of course, all of us understand, is a constitutional body, and we have a mandate enshrined in the Act, okay, in the Teacher Service Act. And other than the Constitution, we all know that part of our mandate is to register teachers so that there is sanity in the industry. We recruit those teachers, we deploy those teachers, we promote those teachers, we take care of their benefits as employees, but above all, we also exercise discipline control over the teachers. It is important to note that out of the teachers we employ, over 95% of them take care of minors, and that is in the basic education. That is in the primary, junior, secondary, and senior schools. Yeah. Now, when we open the social media, and now we have a few, not all, a few who try to go overboard, and we have entrusted juniors in their hands, then becomes the red line. Okay. That the commission has to come in. Remember, we have a mandate other than to employ and exercise discipline control over the teachers. The teachers essentially are the ones taking care of these juniors while in school. And so over time, we have observed a few breaches where you will see juniors appearing in videos and where you will see teachers not putting a distinct line between their professional conduct and their social life. Okay. And particularly when I want to do videos concerning my business, concerning my ideas, concerning my political views, and these videos include minors. And so as a commission, we have a mandate to draw the line. You also notice that we are approaching a political environment. And public servants, as public servants, myself included, we are expected to be apolitical. Don't take sides in politics. And so when we want to do videos, we want to do commentaries, we want to blog, and we want to take sides in politics, what then happens to the child whose parent does not agree with your political stand? Of course, we have seen attempts to bully others on social media, where we have a few teachers taking videos of parents, a few teachers taking videos of school administrators, and using the same videos to harass the school administrators. We felt as a commission that it is important to put a line so that our teachers know that even as we engage on social media, because social media is here with us and is not going anywhere, but we must be able to use it responsibly. And so it's not a gag per se. Okay? What we have done is to draw the line on the person who has no basis to defend himself, and that is the minor. And I thought that is the basis for the circular. Of course, there is reference to the law, okay, so that our teachers can be able to know if you do X, this is what the law provides for, including breach of data, right? Before you post any photo of a child, before you post any photo of what you're doing in the school, it is important to get consent. Today, in the world of AI, you don't need those video or those picture. You can be able to generate your own AI photo and do an advert. But if you do an advert using my child without my consent, then that becomes breach of data. Of course, there are teachers who have used social media positively.
Yeah.
And we all agree as parents that we have teachers who have used social media to educate our children. And as such, that is not a problem. We're just saying, can we use it knowing that we are dealing with minors? And so that these minors are not exposed. Yeah. In a nutshell, that is the whole context of the circular. Thank you.
So we look at the circular, and there are both sides. There are those who used it positively and there are those who've crossed the red line. For those who've used it positively, and in those videos as well, these minors as well appear. How do you approach that? Because it is a positive video.
As long as it is positive, but the consent, irrespective of the advert that you do, irrespective of the material that you take outside there, if you don't get my consent, that's a breach on data. And that is something that is important. You don't want to be on Spice of FM and seeing your child on TV, irrespective of whether the child is happy or not. Because once the video goes online, you have very little control over it. And you don't know how other person other than the teacher can use it against your child. So while we encourage positive use, we must adhere to the data privacy. So consent must be received. And because these are minors, it is important that even as you receive that consent, you must receive the consent from the guardian. Yes, and that's an important factor.
I mean, with the seeking consent, there has to be a clear understanding from teachers themselves, perhaps then with the circular that is clear from the teacher's perspective. But it's a conversation that ought to go further to the children themselves, the minors themselves, to know of their rights, if that's something to say. But equally, the parents to know exactly what is happening in schools. So are we taking this conversation also to the parents to just make sure that they are aware of the circular, that they are aware of the consent that ought to be given from them? Because if it's just coming from the teacher's perspective, I know responsibility lies with them, but how do we then rope in the other stakeholders on the same?
You may want to notice that first, this is a first step of the commission. And the first intention of the commission was to put the red line, put the stop where we can go. The commission, in engagement with the teachers on it's over 8 or 7 mandates. One of the things we do on a continuous basis is engagement with teachers in as far as their rights are concerned, in the emerging trends in the market, and as far as provision of education is concerned. So this is just a start. And as we do reviews of a number of policies, as we engage teachers in a number of items, these are matters that come in. This only came up because there was a feeling and an observation that there seems to be an emerging trend of teachers starting to engage. And we feel, other than firing a warning shot to the teachers, we also have a responsibility to protect the teachers in advance. Because you don't want a teacher posting an innocent video, imagining it is innocent, and then tomorrow you see a parent in court.
Okay.
Yes.
The Kenya National Union of Teachers came out very strongly through the person of the Secretary General Collins Oyu. And he said that one of the things that they feared was blanket condemnation of all teachers who, some might actually be doing what they deemed to be innocent and were actually pursuing what their work would be, and that asked that you cite specific cases and or discipline if was necessary on those. What would be your thoughts about that?
Yes, KNUT is a social partner to TSC, and we engage them on a regular basis, where we shall have individual cases of teachers breaching this. They will be treated as individual teachers. The Commission has no intention of having a blanket disciplinary over the teachers. Even the Code of Regulations does not provide for blanket disciplinary of teachers. We discipline teachers based on the individual mistake or individual offense. So we really, as a commission, we have no basis to blanketly condemn all the teachers. However, as I've told you, it cuts on both sides. You will have a teacher doing a video that me, Dennis, and Du consider as good and innocent. But if the relevant procedures are not followed, we run a risk of exposing this teacher, despite the good intention. And as a Teacher Service Commission, we thought this is important for us to bring on board so that we don't also expose our teachers. But we have no intention of doing what you would call a blanket discipline of the teachers as such. And the Code of Regulation doesn't provide for it anyway. Yeah.
We also know that times have changed and people employ new tools for this practice of teaching. And that falls right in the square of the digital space. So people are using different social media spaces to then, enhance their trade. How do they fall in? And if you're saying that there's a code of conduct that they must follow, is this conduct clear? How do I know as a teacher who I put a video on TikTok, for example, without it being extremely clear if I'm falling within the lines of this enhanced policy?
All right. One of the documents we share with teachers on employment is the code of conduct. It is essentially what other employees would call a terms of service. So this is what stipulates right from onboarding of a teacher up to the exit. It is expected that the teacher has to be conversant with it. But as a commission, we also undertake retooling of our teachers on the various mechanisms of delivering a curriculum to the learners. And in retooling of teachers, which is an exercise that we do very regularly, all right? What we do in the retooling is we also take our teachers on how to embrace the emerging mechanisms for delivery of content. Some of them exist in the digital space. Like today, the Teacher Service Commission has embraced something we call conference classes, where we would have one teacher teaching in Nairobi, but we would have 5 classes across the region attending the same class, among others. But as we do this, it is important that as the employer of the teacher, we let the teacher know that as you do this, these are the boundaries, so that we don't find the teacher in a situation where he is accused of an offense, he's accused of data breach, among others. So essentially, that's what we do, but we don't condemn the emerging trends in delivery of content, in as far as those emerging trends conform to the existing legal framework.
We are in the era of social media, and it is here with us whether we like it or not. And even the juniors themselves are in these spaces. And there has been a feeling for a very long time that mis and disinformation happens on social media, and we are at a risk of this spreading if not handled early. And this has forced many tutors to get on that space to equally train these young ones on how to use social media positively, what to avoid on these spaces. With this circular and what Nat has said is blanket condemnation would be drawing back perhaps on gains that have been achieved on training individuals or these young ones on these social media places. How do we bridge that balance to ensure that even whilst we put this circular, that the good job being done is still being done?
Yeah, the best way, and what we have embraced as a commission, is to have a structured mechanism of embracing the digital space, and specifically the social media. Again, if you open it to everyone, you will have everybody having access to the learners. And as I started by saying in the beginning, these are minors, and we have a responsibility to protect them. Because as a teacher, I have a background. I have been trained on how to handle a minor. If you open it to everyone, not all of us are trained on how to handle minors. And so what we want is a structured mechanism where, as we expose our learners to the social media, as we expose our learners onto how to access content in the social media, this has to be in a very structured way, not in a haphazard way, because the moment it gets into a haphazard way, that is how my child will land into a content that I will take months to get off. And all of us know the content that would make a learner, the content that is likely to draw a learner is not necessarily the content that you and me want the learner to get access to, right? That's just a basic knowledge. So what we feel is that we want to have a structured mechanism where we can slowly and gradually onboard our teachers and onboard the learners on how to use the social media for knowledge. But at the same time, put clear boundaries so that this is not what you can give to the learners. You have today seen a number of things, some dancing, you know. I saw somebody send me a video the other day of a teacher writing on the board and a student dancing, and the parent is complaining, right? But if you look at the reaction of the learners in the class, they appeared happy. Does happiness mean we are exposing them to the right content? Again, we have done a number of conferences where we are having several countries interact with our teachers so that we're able to know what is this country doing as far as social media is concerned, and how can our teachers borrow the positive aspects of it. Because again, just a basic thing as dance can be used positively, but dance can also be used negatively. So we just want to have that structured mechanism. We have no really problem with the social media per se. We are all in social media today. If you're not in social media, then there's a problem. There's something you're missing.
What does this structured mechanism talk about?
Structured mechanism simply means, number one, we must have boundaries. What can you expose a learner to, and what are you not allowed to expose a learner to? Because we must also be aware that as you open the social media, you have a lot of predatory elements. And some may not necessarily be teachers. But if you don't have that control, at the end of the day, you are likely to have the ones that expose our learners to the wrong information, taking center stage. So again, the whole circular is about, number one, protecting the learner. Number two, making sure that the teacher is guarded, so that we don't have a teacher overexposing himself.
All right, let's take a break on this point. Chrisantose Odhiambo is the Human Resource Management and Development with TSC, and we're looking at this policy that comes out whereby he says the first port of call is protection for the learner and then for the teacher, and then ensuring that we're operating within a safe space. We'll be joined by a teacher's representative in a short bit, and then we'll continue with this conversation. Stay with us. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Looks like from an HR perspective, the TSC is clear that this is for protection of learners first, and it's also protection for teachers, and then it's also making sure that everybody remains within the walls of the codes of conduct. Is there a problem with this new policy from the TSC?
Okay, to begin with, I will say that the circular we got from the policy of TSC is welcomed by KNUT, because I'm an art official representing teachers within Nairobi, and I would like to say that TSC has done a good job and we are supporting. However, we see that we could have gaps that need to be checked in, so that we are able to ensure that the policy does also not affect teachers in a negative way.
Which gaps do you see?
Okay, one of the major gaps is that we will see an opportunity whereby the employer, or through its agent, through those who are representing employer at the school level, can misuse that policy to intimidate or to interfere with the expression of the teachers at the school level and even outside the school.
Okay.
Yes.
So outside of the school, what would happen outside of the school? Because a lot of these videos that have been taken, from my understanding, not all of them are happening within a school premise.
Yes.
They're happening outside of school on your own free time, whether there's a learner present or not. So do you have a problem with how that would be safeguarded?
Okay, I don't have a problem, but I'm saying that we need to have participation with the unions.
Okay.
Because on this issue, the participation was not well done. I saw the Secretary General or you speak about it, and we are supporting TSC, but there needs to be more guidelines on how this is wrong. And these videos are being made within the school and even outside the school. So we need to have a clear guideline, not just saying this is bad and when this happens, it's a misconduct and discipline is going to be taken. So we're asking ourselves, when you say this is a misconduct, what is it? What misconduct is it? And when you say that maybe you had content that is exposing a learner in a negative way, what kind of discipline is going to be taken, so that this is going to guide the teachers in the way they interact with the social media and the way they create content, because you can realize that the current teachers are so much exposed in terms of social media, and they are using it for positive purposes like resources and also getting information on how to make better lesson delivery. But also we have those who are going to the extreme. We acknowledge that fact. So the TSC must come up with this policy and clear guidelines to say, now this is wrong and this is not good. And when you do this, these are the repercussions you're going to have. For now, I think it's more general.
Okay. Yeah. Odhiambo, there's a question that has been asked on our stream by would be a parent. And teachers naturally are not supposed to be political. They're supposed to be apolitical because they are public servants. But let me give an example. It is a presidential event. The president has come to a school. It is being streamed on YouTube or on president's social media platforms. The parent to a child in that school perhaps does not agree to the political status of the day. At what point then does that stream on that platform become okay? Because consent was never sought. What is okay and what is not when it comes to regulation of the same?
First, when the president visits a school, by virtue of our constitution, the president is the head of government and head of state. And the school is part of government by hierarchy, down from the Ministry of Education, right, up to the lowest level. And the school is financed by the government through the exchequer, which is contributed to by Kenyans. So it is important to put a link. When the president visits a school, to have a function in the school is different from when the president holds a rally in the school. When the president holds a rally in the school for Kenyans, it becomes political. But when the president comes to the school to launch a facility, to launch a program, it is not political. That is government business of the day.
Oh, but it always becomes political.
No, let me just, so that I don't lose my flow of thought. I don't lose my flow of thought. When the president visits the school to launch a program, to launch a facility, a building, whatever it is, it becomes business of government, because that's a responsibility of government. So that is his daily work. Are we together?
Let's go to social media part. That's where I want us to
That is his daily work. If he decides to post to these employers, because the electorate are his employers, if he decides to post to his employers on what he is doing, courtesy of the employment contract, he has simply communicated to the employers, right?
I am a parent. Follow me through.
Yes, I'm getting there. I see the impatient, but I'm getting there. Remember, when my child, I have a young son called Levi, when Levi goes to school X on day Y, and on day Y, it is expected that the school has communicated to the parents that the president will be in the school on this following day to launch the following program. The way schools work is that the president doesn't wake up today and say, I'm going to launch a program in the school. It is channeled through the various structures in the school. And some of these structures include board of management, the parents association. There is a whole conversation that has taken place before the president gets to the school on his daily work. So, as a parent, I am already aware of the activity that is going to take place in the school. And in most occasions, it is the parents who have initiated. It may not be me as Chrisantose, but it is a body that I have put my consent to, and that body can be the PTA, can be the BOM, depending on the type of school. So, by virtue of that posting in itself, I hope now we are getting there. By virtue of that posting itself, if you follow through the process which has been used to bring the president on board, you will see that consent of president engagement in the school with the learners is already obtained.
The very same teachers would belong to what many say PTAs. The very same PTAs, like we know, they are appointed by parents of the school. One would say, if the very same teacher who is appointed by parents posts on social media based off your explanation, then they have consent from the parents to post on social media. Because at the end of the day, if you're seeking consent, then nobody's spared, whether it is the president visiting the school, because as a parent where I am, if it's 500 children, we need to see 500 consent forms that are signed for each and every single parent to say sawa. That is the blanket condemnation and the fear that does exist with the policy. And one just asks the question then, how do we deal with the balance to make sure that regardless of who is there, that the policy you have posted is followed through?
Yes, what would be very important for us to note here is, number one, the teachers have the most robust code of regulations that exists today. And not just approved by the commission, but developed by the commission and approved by the parliament and gazetted for that matter. So it's a process that has gone through all the rigmaroles, all the morals and all the steps. The Teachers Service Commission does not and has never been in the business of a blanket condemnation. But remember, today also as a country, we have the Data Protection Act of 2019 that provides for limits. And as I said in the beginning, the intention is not to punish. The intention is to protect. Because there is also some level of excitement when you get hold of social media. And that excitement can easily land our teacher onto a problem. And that's what we said. It is important that we do a structured, my colleague now talks about engagement. My approach was that we will have a structured mechanism so that our teachers get to know. But even before we get to the policy, it is important to understand that there are specific legislations in this country that guide on, number one, data, and number two, what you do with your computer or misuse of these gadgets and the rest. So at the end of the day, what we're just trying to do is not to set up the teacher, but to provide a platform so that the teacher can know this is the limit. Mm-hmm. If I go to work, for example, to teach mathematics, and I have decided to use social media as a teacher to teach mathematics, there must be limits. Just the same way with examples. If you're teaching English, we have all manner of examples. We have all manner of proverbs that you can provide. For where I come from, there are proverbs that you can give to kids, and there are proverbs that you can't give to kids, because a minor may have a different interpretation of the proverb that I have given. So that's the whole thing. It's just to provide, to make sure that our teacher and the learner is protected. And what we are foreseeing, because the social media keeps evolving every day, and the platforms keep coming up, you can't even keep up with them. it is okay. And of course, the new trend is monetization of social media. And monetization then comes with something the young people call likes and followers. And sometimes the more extreme content you post, the more followers you're likely to get. So we're also being careful. Why would this more extreme content be about my child? Why would this more extreme content be about my teacher? So it's all that we're dragging to gag. And of course, the politics that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Joseph, do you think there's an understanding from teachers what this means? That if previously they were using social media for certain things, and now this policy comes about that gives a bit of guidance and regulation, do you think there's an understanding across board of what they must or mustn't do?
To be very honest, there is no understanding. That's why from the onset of my conversation was that TSC needs to come clear on that. And also, as we protect the learners, the employer needs to know that also they need to protect the employees. We also look at this social media issue from the parent side. I am in the union and I've seen parents attacking teachers on social media. I've seen them attacking teachers on Facebook, and they put all these allegations. And from that level, sometimes you see maybe the employer is very quick to try and look at the issues that have been raised, and maybe you find at the process sometimes the teacher is victimized, and sometimes you find it is not something that should be legit. So the employer must be very keen to ensure that this policy is well developed and the participation is well done, so that you find that the teachers are now able to understand that doing this and the limitations in social media in creating content, whether it's what the HR has said about monetization, which our teachers are doing for the likes and views, and it's agreed, and also for the improving of the teaching learning process in the class. So both should be given guidelines so that the teacher does not go beyond. On that, TSC is doing perfect, but the more participation and more clearer communication, so that teachers are able to know at what limit should they go. Currently, they don't know.
What's the limit?
What's the limit?
Yes.
The limit is as far as the content to the learner is right. The limit is as far as the exposure or breach of data of the learner is protected, right? The limit is as far as the law is obeyed.
Okay.
As long as we do that, we will all be peaceful. I get from my colleague that probably what may not be there is the understanding of the larger teachers, because again, sometimes when it is opened at the onset, as I said earlier, social media moves faster than even our own development of policies and regulations. That's a fact for us. But then it is important as an employer to sound the warning alert. I agree, we have instances where parents have harassed teachers, and there are instances where the commission has taken action. And we have those records in place, because our intention is to protect the teacher. And remember, when we register a teacher, we register teacher to teacher across the country. So where we see attempts to mobilize parents, to mobilize the community in social media, we also come in very strongly. And that is something that we have done. But then, as we've said, the limit has to be in as far as the data protection of the learner, of the teacher, data privacy of the learner, of the teacher is concerned, in as far as you don't use it to harass people, in as far as you don't use it to preach your political stand, in as far as you don't use it to blackmail, So that boundary is important. Yes.
So usually, when policies like this come up, it is usually an answer to something that has been seen and or experienced. Have there been rising cases of complaints whereby teachers would have carried themselves out in an unpalatable manner that then saw the need for the TSC to come up with this?
Yeah, no, when you read the circular, the opening paragraph tells you all that. And it says we have seen instances where there's a prevalence instances of teachers in the public service engaging in unprofessional behavior on social media, including what I've talked about, cyberbullying, harassment, intimidation, dissemination of offensive content. And remember, I have repeated in numerous times about what we can expose the minors to, and other forms of online misconduct. We just feel that it is important that we have to protect our teachers, because some of them may be done out of excitement. As I said, there is a craze for likes and followers, and sometimes this craze for likes and followers can push you into doing something, because all of us want to pull the trigger that will make the highest number of followers come off in a record time. But even as our teachers do this, what is our role? Do we need to tell them that there has to be a limit? Because if you cross this, there's likely to have this problem. We don't want to be in court casing with parents who have taken our teachers to court out of breach of data.
I mean, the overall conversation here is on morals, if you ask me, because whether somebody has crossed the line and the phone wasn't there to record to go on social media, the line has still been crossed. Whether it is irresponsible dancing that we see on social media every day, if the phone wasn't there for it to be posted on social media, it still crossed the line. I mean, what conversations then would you be talking to in terms of making sure that that which the training has given teachers is adhered to? That at the end of the day, we respect that we are professionals with guidelines that we have to follow, that each and every single thing that we exposed this learner that we've been given to by parents meets the standard and the code within which we play. Because fine, we would say today that teachers will not record, but if the morality or lack of it does exist, it still does exist. All we've done is remove the phone. Should that be the overall conversation, you think?
We cannot remove the phone, but I want to take it from where you left, that teaching is a profession, and teaching is a profession that is guided by ethic and code of conduct for the teachers in this profession. And I would like to, from the angle of the union, I would also like to agree with the employer to a certain degree that we have these teachers who, majority of them are young, and they are exposed in terms of social media and fashion and the current trends. So TSC is doing the correct thing in ensuring that this conversation is started. And I said from the onset, we are supporting. Because we have seen instances whereby some of the content that has been made is not palatable for someone who is befitting of a teacher. And this can be within the school premises, we have seen, or outside. And for the ethic and code of conduct for the teachers, it always applies. Even if you're outside, you should carry yourself as a teacher. The issue of protecting the teachers is key. And that's now where we are talking as a union to the employer, supporting what they are doing, but ensuring that even as they support, they are not exposing the teacher to dangers that can be misused. We have had, for example, you can have WhatsApp within a school premise, and you see a teacher having another WhatsApp within the school premise, but it is not interfering with the management of this school. But an administrator can come and say, now, you are inciting teachers in another group. Maybe it's not the case. So we need to come with clear guidelines and see that this policy is not misused or is not made to harass the teacher. But also, ensure that the teacher is protected in knowing. That's why I am talking about public participation. Let the teacher know that what are the limits. When you go and you record a content and maybe the dressing is not okay and you put it on social media, when you go and you're doing a video and you're having learners dancing behind you, what are the implications? When you appear on a video and you're holding maybe a tumbler and it's eliciting some connotations that you are drunk or it's visible. Those kind of content, those are not things that should be done by a teacher. But also, as we do that, let the teacher know, so that the teacher, when they are doing what they are doing, they know behind that they are doing the wrong thing. And by that, as a union, we're also going to support in communicating to them and ensuring that they are protected, so that they don't engage in such acts that can jeopardize their job. Yes.
I mean, I think that's a great position to take. And we're told that, TSC is going to continue with public participation, hear views from others as you go along to develop this policy, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's what it looks like in terms of that policy and in the protection of children, teachers, and to ensure that the space within which we operate in actually is safe. Thank you both, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. Chrisantose Odhiambo is Human Resource Management and Development with the TSC. Joseph Karuri is a representative of teachers here in Nairobi. Thank you for joining us in this conversation this morning, and for us to be able to go through some of these things, important as they are. And thank you for being in the Situation Room this morning. Thank you. We continue our conversations, very necessary to have, as we've proven this morning. Sugar and Spice comes in at 11 o'clock. Until then, enjoy music. Good morning. It's 10 a.m.